Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. Today's video is actually going to be a new type of video that I've never done on this channel, so I'm excited to see how this goes. For those of you who may not be aware, the brand Mooncat recently released a new collection that is inspired by Avatar the Last Airbender. Now, typically when I see a new collection that's come out, I will think about trying to dupe some of the polishes, like seeing, okay, well, this polish in their collection is like red with some flakes, so let's see what I've got that has red with flakes. But I think as I looked at Mooncat's collection, I realized there were a lot of polishes in there that were very similar to ones that I either had just like straight out from my collection or that I have recently done a dupe for. And I was just like, that video wouldn't be fun for me to film. And the other thing is that I'm not really familiar with Avatar the Last Airbender. My husband, Jack, is, but prior to yesterday, when I finally sat down with him and watched a few episodes of it, and then, it's a pretty fun series, but prior to that, I never watched it, so I was just like, I don't feel a connection with this collection. But I think it was in my recent Black Friday tips video that I just happened to mention that Jack is really into Magic the Gathering, and he, on the night that I was filming that video, I said that he was out at like a special Magic release party that was around the new Magic cards that were connected to Avatar the Last Airbender. And so as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my next video, I was talking with Jack and I said, hey, I've got an idea. Let me know if your thoughts on this. And we actually worked together to come up with the plan for this video. So hi, Jack. Thank you. Love you. So he's really into Magic, and he has now a bunch of cards from Magic the Gathering that, look, I'm acting like I don't know how to hold cards. Okay, I can hold cards. Yay. So what we decided to do was, he was going to go through his Magic cards from Avatar and then pick out ones that he really liked, and then have me choose polishes from my collection that I felt would really like represent the artwork on that card. And so I'm doing this today for the context of Avatar the Last Airbender, but if we take a step back and just do the bigger picture of what's happening here, this is actually one of the strategies that I mentioned in my video about Black Friday tips, which if you haven't seen it yet, I'll put a link to it in the description. But something I mentioned as an idea for how to go about navigating Black Friday season or any period of the year where you are feeling like there's this increased pressure and temptation to want to keep buying new things, but you don't want to do that and you want to find ways to appreciate the polishes that you already have. I suggested create a new collection for yourself based on, say, your favorite movie, your favorite TV show, but using polishes that you already have. And you can do this by in a number of ways. You can do it, for example, by saying that, like, let's say you've got this card here, like, oh no, sorry, this one's cuter. Okay. So I've only seen a few episodes of Avatar, but I really like, I think it's Appa, the flying bison. So yep. So let's say you have this card and maybe you want to find a single polish in your collection that you feel represents this picture. You could do it that way, or you could do like I've chosen to do in this video. You all know how much I love layering polishes, so as I'm looking at what I've pulled out from my collection over there, I would say all of the ones that I'm layering have at least 2, if not more, polishes that I'm bringing together to be my variation of what I associate with that artwork. And so I'm talking a little bit about this more than usual because I really want to break down and explain that, like, yeah, this video is talking about Avatar, but I really want to talk about the bigger strategy here, which is, let's say you create some layering combinations that are inspired by Avatar, but then you're like, whoa, that's just a really cute combination to wear in general, even when I'm not thinking about Avatar. So that, I think, for me, as I was preparing for this video and trying to figure out which polishes I wanted to bring together, it was really a lot of fun to just take a look at polishes in a different way than I usually have, and to spend, I think Jack and I spent about an hour in here. He was in this chair at my work desk. I was at that chair over there at my nail desk, and he was going through and picking out cards, and then I was going through and showing him how different combinations worked, and he was just like, oh my goodness, you're so good at this. I'm like, thank you. So the last thing I will say before I get into this is that there was one polish from Mooncat's collection that I absolutely was drawn to, and that I was like, I really like this polish, but I'm pretty sure I can dupe it myself. So that's what I did. So for those of you who are interested in the Mooncat polish, Bloodbender, I will, once I get over to my nail desk, the first thing I'm gonna do is just briefly show you a close-up of my nails here that I did yesterday. I'll show you which polishes I used to make this happen, and yeah, we'll get into it. So I'm very excited to cast some spells and bend some air. Can you tell I don't know much about Avatar the Last Airbender? All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So really quickly, I just want to talk about how I did my nails yesterday because of all the polishes that are in Mooncat's collection. The one that I was mainly drawn to was Bloodbender, the one that's like a really dark burgundy red base with a like blue magnetic pigment with it as well. And I was like, I could basically dupe that, and that's what I did. So I used 2 coats of Hollow Taco's Devil's Advocate, plus then I put on 1 coat of Fancy Gloss's Indigo Magnetic top coat and magnetized it in the cat eye style. And so I've had these nails on for a little under a day now, and I will say that my recommendation is Hollow Taco's Devil's Advocate. When you wear this on its own, it is very, very dark red that just about reads black in most lighting, especially indoors. And I think that when you put something like a magnetic topper like this on top of it, which I've mentioned before in previous videos, this can often give a slightly darker cast to it, like a slight dark gray overlay in addition to the magnetic line. So I'm mentioning this because I, like, if I didn't know myself that I had used a dark red magnetic polish as my base color for this, this pretty much looks like black. And so my recommendation would be, if you're trying to dupe Bloodbender for Mooncat's collection, and granted, I haven't seen it in person, so I can't say for sure, but I think that if you still want to have a little bit of that red color come through, my recommendation would be to use a different red base that is still dark, but is just a hair lighter. So something like Essie's Berry Naughty, which if I were to hold these two side by side, you can see the slight difference there. Let me just tilt it a bit. So Berry Naughty, still very, very dark red, but I think that if you're wanting to see evidence of red, like I really, except around like the edges, I just can't see the red here, which is fine, but I just want to put that out there as a little tip for what I decided to do for that. Okay. So let's get into our first Avatar card polish. Yay! And the first one that I have that Jack pulled out of his collection is You, the Moon Spirit. And when I looked at this one, what really stood out to me were all of the the galaxy like colors, like the blue, the white that's sprinkled in there, and also just the glittery glow. So I decided to I keep telling myself not to say dupe this because I'm so used to saying I'm duping something, but here I'm like, I was inspired. And actually it was very freeing in some ways to like figure out what I wanted to create, but not be constrained to having the polish need to look a certain way. Anyway, I decided to start with Gin and Berries, Remember the Can't. This is a polish that is like a gray, like a dusty gray with a slight light blue shimmer running through it. I started with 2 coats of that, which you can see here. And then to represent all of these, like the galaxy flowy elements that are in that are on the artwork, I pulled out Polish Molish Finding Home, which is a flaky top coat. But if you look at it, and let me see if I compare it to, this is not going to be a direct one-to-one comparison here because on the left, what I have, KB Shimmers Out of Sequence. This is a silver reflective glitter topper, but I just wanted to pull like something silver out to show you side by side how like on the left, this is all silver, but then on the right, this has different color shifts that are in it. Like there's some blue, there's a little bit of like orange and red. And so that is why I chose to use this as a topper instead of just one of the toppers in my collection that is just like pure silver. So this is going to be a very straightforward one here. We're starting off simple. And like I said in my intro, a main objective from this video is to not just say, oh, here are my creations that are inspired by these Avatar magic cards, but I, as someone who does not often wear silver polish, I think that this combination here is one that I would absolutely wear going into the holiday season. So having this nice silver background with a hint of blue, and then also putting on top of it a flaky topper that is silver but also gives some color shifts. And I think this really does reflect well on what's in that magic card. So let's go ahead and go on to the next one. The next card is Appa Steadfast Guardian. For this one, we're starting out with the same initial base, which is Gin and Berries, Remember the Can't. And I chose this one because what I'm seeing in this card is just a lot of that blue sky. And I wanted to have something that also represented the gray that's there in Appa. And so this seemed like a good polish to choose for that. I'm also going to go and overlay 1 coat of crack polish O-type star because while Remember the Can't does have blue in it, this card has more blue in the background, and I want to have that be represented in the overall layering that I do. So you can see how like polishes like O-type star, in addition to them being great to wear on their own, they are excellent to use for layering and to make it so that you give just a little bit more gray, a little bit more blue. As this is drying, I'll pause for a bit and say that when Jack and I sat down yesterday and we were talking about the cards and he showed me this one, I started laughing. He's like, what's so funny about this one? And I said, okay, I mean this in the nicest way, but this card is reminding me, it looks like it's in America's Next Top Model photo shoot. You know how that Tyra would have the models like jumping in the air and stuff, and then there would be on the side these like close-ups of the eye. Like Appa is smizing in this card. I mean, I think that's also part of the reason why I like it. But he was like, he gave me a look. Yeah, so what I've got so far, I feel like represents this bluish gray that's there in Appa, but I also wanted to bring in something that would represent the like darker elements around Appa, like the dark eye, the dark I'm about to say eyeshadow, but like the area around Appa's eye. And this is a polish that I've been getting a lot of great use out of this season. KB Shimmers Take It or Leave It. I think this polish might have a halfway fill line, which is with as much as I've been using it. So it's got some color shifts in it, but it really does read as brown in a lot of lighting, which is what I want this to be. So like not just brown, I would say, but I do think it's great that in addition to it from say like afar looking like, okay, you've got some brown on there, it is also very color shifty. I'll also mention that this is the first day in forever that we've had any kind of sunlight for more than like an hour. So I'm crossing my fingers that once I've finished swatching all of these, I'll be able to do my other lighting shots outside for the first time in forever. I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, fingers crossed that we'll be able to do that. So yeah, here's what we've got for Appa Steadfast Guardian. Next is Avatar Kyoshi Earthbender. And I love this one when I saw it because I love the color green. I love the sense of motion that was in here. And I knew that what I was going to pick out to represent this in nail polish needed to be something that not only matched the colors that's in there, but also the sense of motion and movement and just rocks flying everywhere. So I chose a green that is cracked polished Tulgi wood. This is probably one of my favorite greens in my collection. I feel like I say that in every video for every green that I pull out, but this one really is one of my favorite greens because of just not just how beautiful the color is, but the formula is just a joy to work with. I put down to start with 2 coats of Tulgi wood. And then I thought about what I wanted to use to represent all of the rocks flying everywhere. And the polish I chose for that is ILMP's Party Popper. And I'm saying that very slowly and very intentionally because you can probably guess what I accidentally call this polish if I'm speaking too fast. So Party Popper is it's a topper from ILMP that I really don't hear a lot of people often talk about. As I'm putting it on here, I'll describe what this is. It's a topper that is filled with these little they're like little very micro shards, micro flakes that are in here. And what's unique about this is that often, you know, you'll have toppers that are either all silver or they're all gold flakes. But what we've got here with Party Popper, Party Popper is that it's a combination of silver and gold together. And, you know, that's a combination that won't always work with every base color that you use together with this topper. But I think in this case, it seemed like the perfect fit for aligning with this Avatar Kyoshi Earthbender card because you've got like in the card, there's a gold fan, there's like silvery looks in the earth and the rocks and everything. So this seemed like a great one to use. And then I thought, well, I haven't done a magnetic one for this collection yet. So let's go ahead and pull out Fancy Gloss Brass Magnetic Top Coat. And just like I mentioned with when I was talking about using the indigo top coat for my nails here and why it sort of darkened the red a bit. That will, I think, be the case as well when we use this over Tulgey Wood and Party Popper. So again, just keep that in mind, that if you are deciding to do some layering combinations and you are choosing to use certain polishes specifically because you're like, I love that this is green, you're gonna want to make sure to use a color that will still be like appear as green, for example, even after you put a topper over it. So that's why I chose one that wasn't like the darkest green that I have in my collection, because, you know, at a certain point, some polishes will just end up reading straight up black, even though that's not at all what the color is. Okay, so then pulling up my magnet, gonna magnetize this for a bit here. And just from what I'm seeing as I'm looking underneath the magnet, and you all will see this in just a second after I pull the magnet away, this is one that I don't think that the gray cast from the magnetic topper is as darkening as it was with the indigo top coat. And this is just referring to like the ones I have from Fancy Gloss. So like I've always said in my other videos, it's very important to get a sense of how the polishes in your collection behave, so that you can have a good understanding of like, oh yeah, I can absolutely use this polish for this purpose because I know it behaves this way, versus I'm probably not going to use that one because I know it kind of like does XYZ. But yeah, I love how this one turned out. Like, as I'm holding it next to, well, I don't have the physical card for this one right here next to me, but like I've got my iPad in front of me and I'm looking at that with the card image pulled up, and I really love how it does represent what's in there. And I think that Mooncat's collection has a green and gold one, if I'm not mistaken, but because I'm extra, I put like flakes in mine because, you know, gotta make it fun. So yeah, let's keep it moving. The next card is Aang, Master of Elements. And when Jack showed me this one, he explained how it's one that can transform. And so when I looked at the version of the card that I have overlaid up here, I was really drawn to, again, just the overpowering sense of blue, which I know has been reflected already in the first two that I've swatched out here. But with this one, I think this is where, like in Mooncat's collection, they have the one that the one polish that was like the glow in the dark one. And I do have Holo Taco's blue aqua glow in the dark polish, but I didn't want to just do that as my version of it. I wanted to see what else I could do, and also because I don't often wear glow in the dark polish, so I really wanted whatever creation I come up with to be something that I would actually wear on just a random day. So I'm starting with an off-white base using cracked polish, crinkled linens, and it's been a while since I've compared this to just like a stark white, but another polish I'm going to be using later on in this video is ILMP's Canvas. And so if I put these side by side, you can see just how cracked polish crinkled linens on the left has just the slightest bit of extra warmth to it, so that when you, like, if you're trying to have a white polish that you wear but you don't want to feel like you've put white out on your fingers, go with crinkled linens. Especially if you're trying to get something in Crack's upcoming Black Friday sale. I mean, this is a polish that I don't often hear people talk about, but for the reason of me not wanting to feel like I have white out on my fingers, I always use this as my base white, and I really only use ILMP's Canvas when I'm using it for like nail art and like to draw something that is white. Okay, so now that we've got crinkled linens on here, I was looking at the card and I wanted to have something that would represent that blue glow that's there. And so that's when I went and pulled out a relatively newer polish in my collection. This polish has been around for a while, but I just got it like a month or two ago. This is Holo Taco's Freezer Burn. And you can see it's got this like really beautiful glowy blue shift to it. And when I've heard of people talking about using freezer burn, I've often heard them talking about using it over dark polishes, and I was surprised when I tested it out myself over black and was kind of just like, it was giving more visual texture than I wanted, but I hadn't thought about putting it over a lighter color like white, because here's what happens there. Just a little bit more. Like, check that out. Oh, that is so pretty. Like, this might get me to start wearing lighter color nail polish, knowing that I can just put like a shimmer topper over it like this. And just, it's like when you want there to be some kind of glowy blue, but you don't necessarily want it to have like a darker cast to it like we had over here with O-Type Star. So while this is drying a bit, let's go to the last piece of this, where I was looking at the card and seeing that there's all these different colors being represented in there. And so the funny thing is, I think it was like a couple years ago when Jack offered to teach me how to play Magic the Gathering and Commander. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's give it a try. And for me, and the way that my brain works, sometimes I need to come up with other names for concepts in order to make it stick in my mind. And so as he was telling me about the concept of mana, I was just like, that is not a word I'm going to remember. I need to figure out something else for this for myself. So ever since then, I have referred to mana as nature points because that is how I think of them. And I don't really play Magic. Jack taught me how to do it. It wasn't really my thing, but every time when he comes home from playing Magic and he tells me how it went, and he tells me like about victories he had or something like that, he'll like every single time he'll say like, oh yeah, and I played this card and I was able to get like 5 nature points off of this. Like, he uses nature points when he talks about Magic with me, and I just love that. Yeah. So anyway, the reason I'm mentioning mana or nature points to me is that this is something that we were talking about as it relates to this particular card, and the different colors that are involved with it. And I tried out a few different nail polish options for this one. Like I was trying out like a red flake topper and then a green flake topper together, and it just became very visually busy very quickly. So that's when I went and pulled out ILMP's Confetti, which, I mean, y'all, if there is ever a polish that has a name that describes exactly what it is, like confetti. This is a really great one that I love having in my collection for times when I don't necessarily want to have to choose every single color of like flake or glitter topper that I want, but I just want a lot of all colors. So I'm just gonna put it on there. And I love this combination because what this is doing here is that I'm using a white base or an off-white base with crinkled linens, but instead of me just putting confetti on top of crinkled linens, what's great here is that I get this extra kind of shine that's coming out from the freezer burn that I put there. So, you know, if you all are looking for new ways to use your polishes, this kind of combination could be one that's easily repeatable. So start with a cream polish, and then put on like some kind of shimmer topper, and then put on some kind of like glitter or microflake topper like this. I mean, it's endless combinations that you can use with this. And so when I look at this, I really do see this be a good representation of the Aang Master of Elements card. And I could, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I think one of my main criteria for this video was, whatever I make, it has to be something that not only represents the card, but that would be something I would actually wear. And I would totally wear this. So yeah, let's go on to the next one. The next card that I'm using for inspiration is Day of Black Sun. And I'm not sure if this was Jack's intention when he chose this card, but like I will say that for this to be an Olivia nail polish video, and y'all know as much as I love wearing dark nail polish, there has not been a lot of like dark palette choice in here yet. So this is getting me back to my comfort zone. Yay for the darkness, embrace it. But yeah, I was looking at Day of Black Sun, and I think that when I'm working with dark nail polish, part of the challenge can be to try to do something artistic and have those artistic choices still show up even when I am working with a dark palette, where it's very easy for the artistic choices that I make to get swallowed into the darkness. And so when I was looking at the card of Day of Black Sun, I knew that I wanted to pull out one of my polishes that has like a yellow golden shimmer, like this one, which is Ethereal Lacquer's Candlelight. And as beautiful as this polish is, it's one that I don't often wear like as it is, just out of the bottle, because I find that it tends to make my skin look washed out. And by that I mean like okay, so you see how I've got I was gonna say, you see how I've got fingers, right? Yes, we've established that I have fingers. So you see how with like the color that I have on here, like the darker polish against my skin tone gives a really good visual contrast, at least in my opinion. Whereas I think when I wear colors like Candlelight, there isn't a whole lot of contrast there. It's not to the extent where I have what in the nail polish community is often referred to as mannequin hands, where like you're wearing a polish that matches your skin or nail tone exactly to where you're just like, oh, okay. But what I'm getting at is, this is a polish that I have found that I get the best use out of it when I wear it as a topper. And I'll show you what I mean. So when I was looking at Day of Black Sun, I'm thinking, yes, I want there to be some kind of sun element, but it's got to be like black sun. So here is how Candlelight looks when I put it over a black cream polish. So instead of having what you would get where you would, and I'll actually show you what I'm talking about in just a second, for those of you who are not familiar with this particular polish. Okay, so what we've got here is just this really gorgeous, like chromy look like that. The spare swatch stick that I've got here, I'm just gonna put this on the handle because I already have something on the end here. But if I were to just show you what this would look like on its own, it looks like that. So it has more of a, like, you see more of that like gray base that's in there. So if you have polishes like this that, for similar reasons that I mentioned, where you feel like if you wear them on their own and they just kind of make you look washed out, try putting it over a topper like black, like this, and see if that might give you a better result. I didn't mention this, but the black polish that I use is Bee's Knees Lacquer Void, which if you've never shopped with Bee's Knees Lacquer before and are thinking of getting something in their upcoming Black Friday sale, check out Void. Y'all, I tried this once and then I was just like, yeah, this is my go-to black polish from that point forward. Okay, so we started with Void, then put on Candlelight, and now I'm like, I mean, I could stop here, but y'all know me, I'm a little extra. I like glitter and toppers and stuff. So I wanted to think about what I would put on top of this to really make it pop, but also just feel like I still have some of the darkness that's there since we covered up the black. And it came as no surprise to me when I went into my collection and pulled out crack polish mascara flakes. I love how I'm saying like I went into my collection when I make it sound like I was going like deep into like all of my polishes that I've never touched in a while. Yo, mascara flakes lives on my nail desk. Like it it never gets put away, and that is how often I use this polish. So yeah. This is a very versatile topper, and I think it goes really well with representing this card, Day of Black Sun, because as much as there's like the darkness that's underneath here, I feel that having this topper on top of Candlelight, on top of Void, you can almost, in a way, like think of it as being the negative space in some way. I like this idea of the sunlight kind of peeking around all of the dark spots that are there. But yeah, this is absolutely a color combination that, or a polish combination that I would wear. I also love how it's right next to this one here, which is like, yay, happy brightness, sunshine, confetti, woo! And then this is like, welcome to my dark soul. But yeah, I think that this is an excellent representation of Day of Black Sun. And speaking of the sun, I'm still looking outside to see if the sunlight will hold up, because as I'm doing these, I'm just like, if there were ever a day where I want to see these polishes in actual sunlight, today is that day. The next card is White Lotus Tile. And with this one, for this one and also a few other of the cards from today's video, as Jack and I were talking about these, I asked him if he could explain to me like more about what that card was actually representing, like what the concept was, so that I could get a better understanding of what it was referring to. And he told me about how about what the White Lotus tile was for, and so I'm saying this because this is just like a happy coincidence that ended up happening, where he said it relates to something involving like a secret society. And I was like, wait, say that again? He's like, a secret society. And y'all, no joke, the polish that I had already pulled out from my collection that I was planning to use for this, before he had gone into an explanation of it, I had to pause, and I handed this one to him. I was like, read what that says. And he's like, okay, Holo Taco, secret society. What? So yeah, this is a polish that I think has a lot of versatility for how you can use it, like when you have times when you're wanting like a more like a brassy look that doesn't go too into the brown or the yellow, but it's a little bit more gray. I knew that I wanted to start with this because of the colors that I was seeing in the White Lotus tile card. But then I wanted to add some more depth to it. And that's when I went to pull out this topper here, which is Mooncat's Fool's Gold, which is a matte gold flake topper. So you will see how this goes. So I've got, I started with 3 coats of Holo Taco's Secret Society here. I did 3 just because I don't like having visible nail line, but I think that if you are someone who's okay with a little bit more visible nail line, you could probably get away with just 2 coats of Secret Society. So I'm gonna put on Fool's Gold. And this is something I don't think I've ever really done, in the sense of like, when I have a polish like Secret Society that already has something like holo in it, I usually wouldn't then go and put like a flake topper over it. But I was drawn to Secret Society for this purpose today, not so much because of the holo that's in it, but more so for the base color that's there. So in just a moment, this is going to become mattified. So I'm going to put that down for now. This was a really fun one for me to plan out, because I wasn't expecting to end up doing nail art as part of this video, but that's where we're ending up with this, where I looked at the result of this and I'm like, I mean, I could stop here, but it still doesn't, in my opinion, fully represent the White Lotus tile. So I started to think of what I've put down here so far is almost like I feel like this could be like wallpaper that you would see in someone's old Victorian house or something like that. And then, so we're gonna do some flowers that I think will be White Lotusy. I know earlier I said I was going to be using Island Peace canvas, that white polish, but I decided to reconsider that, and instead I'm going to use this more like a nude neutral OPI polish called Pale to the Chief. And then for another part of this, you know what, I was going to use this one here. This is Essie Buzzworthy Bash, but I think instead I'm going to pull out this brown polish that I was working with earlier, Mooncat Kafka-esque. So while this is drying, and actually you can see it's like magic, right? Like it's been mattified. And I'm going to go ahead and put out a couple drops here. I'm going to make some flowers here. So for those of you who are new to nail art and you're trying to dip your toe into those waters, I think that a dotting tool is an excellent tool to have in your collection for doing things like very simple nail art. Like if you're just trying to add like a cute little flower, all that you need is a dotting tool like this, and it has two different size options. Like the smaller one is on this end and the larger one is on there. So what I typically will do is like do all of the flower petals in one size and then have the center part be the other. I think I'm going to do it where the, let's see, I'm going to have the main part, how do I want to do this? Let's see. I'm going to do, let's go with the bigger side first. I might regret this in a minute. We'll see. Okay. So I'm gonna, you know what, I'm actually glad that I'm going with a little bit of uncertainty right now, because I think it's important for you all to see how I actually think about doing nail art. And the honest reality for me is that sometimes I go in with it where I'm like, I have a plan, but then I also will reconsider that plan as I'm in the moment and trying to think what's going to work best. So I think what I'm going to do is actually do the center of the flower first with the dark brown here. And then I can always touch that up later if I want to. So I'm just going to go in like that. That's kind of a circle. And then I'm going to do another one further down here, like that. Okay. And now I'm going to use the smaller side of the dotting tool in my lighter polish, the OPI one. And so my recommendation, if as you're working with the dotting tool, I know it can be really tempting to just do one, like to gather up the polish once and then use that for all of your petals, but you're going to start to run out of polish that way, and the quality of your petals will decrease over time. If you do that, they're going to start to appear like less filled out. So and this is something where, like, I don't always do nail art because of the extra patience that it requires, but I think that if there's a time when you do have a little bit more time and you do need a little bit more relaxation, something like this can be an excellent way to find that energy and to just have fun with the process, see what you can create. I almost made it without having a little streak there. If you can see, there's an extra little streak that got dragged over there, but you know what? One of the great things about having a textured background for this nail art is that I can just say that's like a gold leaf and no one's gonna know. Ha ha ha. Okay, I'm gonna do it again over here. And yeah, so this is what I chose to do for the White Lotus card. I think that it kind of looks like a daisy. That's fine, but it still is something that I feel is a combination of colors for flowers and the kind of background for flowers that I never would have considered using had it not been for this exercise of creating art or creating nail art that's based on these magic cards. Okay. All right. Okay, that's not bad. That's cute. That turned out really well. And again, if you're new to working with nail art, slow and steady is the best way to go. Do not rush it. My last recommendation for this would be to wait even longer than you normally would to put on top coat to reduce the chances of this smearing here. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, this is the nail that's inspired by the White Lotus style. The next card is Redirect Lightning. And as Jack and I were talking about this card, and as I was going through different polishes from my collection and trying to figure out which one had the right base color to use, it just wasn't hitting right. Like I was choosing some polishes that were either too red or some that were too brown, some that were too orange. And I was feeling like I needed one that was some combination of those. And that's what Jack agreed as well. He said, yeah, it's like, this is, it's not just red, it's not just orange, it's like some reddish orange brown that's really the color that's coming out as the base here. And this is where I think layering is just so much fun because you're able to get results that you probably could not in a single polish if you didn't already own a polish like that in your collection. So I started with a creme polish. This is Cracked Polish Red, and it's so beautiful. I love this one. It was giving me exactly what I needed for having a nice, rich, dark red undertone here. And that's what I started with here in 2 coats. Then I found Mooncat's Dawn of the Empire, which is a magnetic polish, which will become very interesting in just a moment. You'll see that this is magnetic, and when it's magnetized, it's like that. And so what I wanted to do was put a coat of Dawn of the Empire over red, because on its own, Dawn of the Empire takes at least a couple coats to build up to opacity, and I didn't want to have to do that. But I also too wanted a little bit more red than what Dawn of the Empire has by itself. So let me show you what happens when we put a coat of Dawn of the Empire over red, and we're gonna just keep this unmagnetized for now. Okay. And so the next thing, I'm gonna need to let this sit for a moment, because the final piece of this is the blue lightning that we see in the card. And I knew that I wanted to use for this Fancy Glosses light blue magnetic top coat. And I figured this would be a fun experiment to see what would happen here, because as I mentioned, Dawn of the Empire is a magnetic polish as well. And typically when I use a magnetic topper like this, I put this over something that is not a magnetic polish. So I would be happy either way with however this turns out, because I know that Dawn of the Empire has, even in just the part where you get like the magnetic stripe, it has that rich burnt brown, orange, red that I was looking for to represent Redirect Lightning. So I think this is set for long enough. So let's go ahead and put the light blue magnetic topper over this. I'm being very gentle here because I know that it hasn't fully dried, but that's okay. Okay. And let's magnetize it. Okay. It's going to take just a moment to magnetize. And like I said, with the other magnetic topper that I used in this video, keep in mind the question about will a magnetic topper end up giving some kind of like shadow cast over what you put it over. And here is the result of that. It ended up being a little bit darker than I was initially thinking, but this is actually funny when you think about what I said in the beginning of when I was talking about how I recreated Mooncat's blood belly with my current manicure, and how you can't really see that this is red. But I feel like at least in the lighting where I am right now, I can see that this has a red base to it. And that is exactly what I wanted from this. I wanted to be able to see like the rich redness of it. I also wanted to see the like the blue spark of lightning there. And so what I'm going to do off camera is use the DRK magic effect as always to give a little bit more of a more crisp magnetic line. But yeah, I think that this reflects redirect lightning very well, and this is absolutely something that I would wear as a combination myself. And the final card for today's video is Aang the Last Airbender. I figured this would be a good one to close out on. And it is one that when I look at it, I see this just bright, vivid orange, first of all. And then I also want to, with the nail polish choices, represent somewhat of the gold and also the blue. So for the orange, I started with this polish from Atomic Polish that is called Kinsei. And y'all, this is one coat. This polish is thick. Like when I wear it, I always wear like anything but black and 2 coats at minimum, just to make sure I have like complete full coverage. Like if I really want to be nitpicky, I can, like, if I hold this up, I can see through to where there is still a little bit of like sheerness there. It's not fully covered, but for the most part, this is like an almost 1 coater. So I have this to start. And then to represent the blue that's there, I'm going back to Holo Taco's Freezer Burn, which I used for the one here with the confetti topper over it. And like I said, when I was working with that one, I thought it was interesting to see how Freezer Burn could be used to give a blue shimmer over not just darker polishes, but also on top of ones that are, you know, maybe lighter, but a different color family. So I'll show you how this looks when I put Freezer Burn over Kinsei. That is just so pretty. I mean, it's like, you know, when I was thinking about how I wanted to represent the artwork from these cards in nail form, I knew that it wasn't always going to have to be the case of being like, okay, so I've got, you know, orange, and then maybe I draw a blue stripe with like, you know, some nail art. But no, like this, I think is a really great way to have both of these colors represented at the same time. To have the orange base and then have like a blue shimmer on top of that. And the last piece I'm going to put with this is going to be one of my, again, a favorite topper that is about halfway through. This is Crack Polish Truly Outrageous, which is a gold holographic topper. For the most part, when you see holo toppers, they tend to be silver holo, but this one I love for it being a gold holo. Unfortunately, Truly Outrageous was discontinued earlier this year, but the maker of Crack Polish, Monique, has made a new similar topper that's coming out with the Black Friday sale next week called Make It Pretty. That one is, I believe, a rose gold hollow topper. But like, I would say if you really love what you're seeing of Truly Outrageous but missed out on it, fear not, a similar one is coming very soon. But I chose this one to wear with this particular nail because I think that having a gold hollow topper in your collection is excellent for times when you want to have gold represented there, but you don't want it to be as, I guess, as present or as textured, say, as a gold reflective glitter topper like Starly's Golden Starlight. So on the left, this is a reflective glitter topper, and on the right, this is a hollow glitter topper. Truly Outrageous is one that will give you those pops of gold, but without the additional physical texture that you get from the Starly one. So let me show y'all how that looks on here. And again, I would say this is a combination that I would absolutely wear, but it's just fascinating how, had it not been for this this challenge of me picking out polishes to layer together to represent the artwork in the magic cards, I never would have thought of wearing these together. So what you can see here in the finished product is that really lovely gold twinkle that's there, that's representing that golden color that you see in Aang's outfit on the card. I love this and can't wait to wear it someday. Ooh, this video was so much fun to make, and I am so happy that I was able to get outside and see how these swatches looked in the sunlight, because they just really sparkle. I'm so happy with this. And I think that, yeah, like I said in the beginning, and I think I said a few times throughout, but I really just want to emphasize that while this particular video was using the example of Magic the Gathering cards and the Avatar the Last Airbender cards to be the basis and inspiration for this, I really also wanted to show you all how I just in general go about using some type of media to create my own polishes or polish combinations that are inspired by that. Because I think that it, as I was looking online and like nail polish Facebook groups and subreddits, I was seeing a lot more conversation than usual about the Mooncat Avatar collection than I have for other ones that have come out recently, in the sense that a lot of people were struggling with the idea of wanting to have some polishes that were related to their favorite characters or concepts from Avatar, but they didn't want to pay the higher Mooncat prices, especially now with Black Friday just being like less than a week away at this point. And so what I'm getting at is I really hope that this video was helpful for those of you who have been looking for some kind of way to feel a connection between your love of nail polish and your love of certain media like Avatar the Last Airbender, and to do so in a way where you're not always having to go out and buy a brand new polish or a brand new collection of polishes just because that's what Mooncat says that their version of Avatar nail polish would be. I mean, I use what I own to create these looks here, and I've got to say I am so excited about what I've done and my originality that's coming through in here in a way that I don't think that I would really feel from say just buying the Mooncat one and then being like, oh, okay, here we go, there's that. Obviously, that's not to say I'm never going to buy another nail polish that's been inspired by some form of media. You know, sometimes polishes do come out where I'm like, oh wow, that is completely unique. I don't have anything like that in my collection. I'm gonna go and buy that. But in this case, and especially with knowing that my husband Jack has such a love of magic and Avatar, I thought, hey, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna do this in a way that is gonna be a lot more fun, a lot more meaningful for me. And you know, I learned a little bit about Avatar along the way as well. Yay! So I would love to hear from you all about, like, especially if you are in that situation of like being a fan of Avatar the Last Airbender, but you chose not to buy the Mooncat polishes for whatever reason. What are some of your ideas that you have for creating your own Avatar inspired polish combinations? I'd love to hear. And as always, thank you all so much for being a part of this channel. Thank you so much for watching. And I now have to choose which one of these looks I'm going to wear next. So we'll see. Looking forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye.